Okay. Welcome, everybody. I am Salt Lake County Sheriff Rosie Rivera, and we just wanted to update the media and the public on what occurred today at our jail. We had a fire. About 10:35, we were notified of a fire on the roof. What we discovered was that there was a subcontractor up there doing some repair work on the HVAC system, and it created a spark that started a fire. We were noticing smoke in one of the units, and that's how we were made aware of the fire. Also, the contractor notified our jail employees. Also, from that moment, we notified South Salt Lake Fire, and they responded within a very short time frame. They were able to put the fire out. At this time, we don't have any injuries, except we do have the contractor did complain of an ankle injury, and he was taken to work med to have that ankle looked at. We don't know if it was related to the fire or later as he was running to tell someone. We just don't have any information on that, but he is going to be okay. As far as all of the prisoners that are in our facility, we don't have any injuries. We were able to move them very, very quickly. And I just want to clarify, we did say that we evacuated from those units to other units. When we say evacuate, it doesn't mean they were evacuated outside the jail. They all were still in the jail, just moved to other units. So that's what's occurring right now, is we are evaluating the situation, and we have 3 of the units are back up and running. We have 1 unit down, and all of the prisoners have been moved that need to be moved. And we're going to, just keep going forward with normal operations. And, this was a big deal today, but the way it was handled, I'm very impressed, not just with my staff from the sheriff's office, but all of the fire departments that responded. We're very grateful for their services. They do amazing work, and it just makes me more confident in the processes that we have in place. We do have a standard operations plan that we put in place to move those prisoners from one unit to another, and it worked very well. And really the reason it works is because when you practice things like this, it helps you get better every time. We will be debriefing this entire situation and with the agencies that were involved so that we can take a look at our operations, if there's somewhere we can improve, or we also want to know what we did very well. That will be at a later date. The one impact that we saw to the community was really to the police community. Our booking was closed for about 2 hours, so officers that were bringing prisoners to jail were delayed a couple of hours. We did make notifications to all the police departments and our dispatch, and that is open now, so we don't have, it's just normal operations at the jail currently. So I will have the chief from South Salt Lake Fire speak, and then after that, Mayor Wilson wants to say a few words, and we'll open up to questions after they're finished. So, Chief, thank you for being here, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Fire Chief Terry Addison with the South Salt Lake Fire Department. As Sheriff Rivera said, fire crews were dispatched. We received the call at 10:35, just shortly after her crews sent it out. The fire department responded, and they arrived. They found a fire on the roof. Now, this fire did not breach the structure. The structure is all secure. But we had found in the area of origin where the fire started was where the maintenance was being performed on the heating and ventilation unit. The fire was able to get between the membrane structure and reach some insulation, which was burning. The fire crews had to remove some of the insulation and the membrane in order to ensure that the fire did not continue to spread. As the sheriff said, no injuries. The fire department went through, they ventilated the structure to remove all smoke and any remnants of any hazardous vapors, gases, or fumes before employees and occupants were allowed back in that area.
Well, thank you, Mayor Jenny Wilson, Salt Lake County, and you're well aware that the jail is a Salt Lake County facility. It's run by our sheriff, and we work collaboratively on a daily basis on the issues surrounding the jail, and appreciate the partnership. I'll tell you, as a mayor, when you get the phone call that there's an incident, wherever it may be, your heart races a little, and it did certainly this morning when I looked at the text from the sheriff. And within minutes, I was reassured that it looked very good, that we didn't have extensive harm to our inmates, which of course is always our first concern. We're concerned about the loss of life in any situation. I immediately learned through a call to the sheriff and a quick briefing that things were stable, and that of course South Salt Lake was on scene and responding and was receiving backup from other fire jurisdictions, which we appreciate as well. I'll tell you the amount of investment that we make at Salt Lake County and with our partners, our cities and other entities to train, to prepare, is what led to this incredible outcome today. It could have been much worse. It wasn't, because everyone responded quickly, appropriately, and frankly, our communication was very strong. And I think that's really critical, especially when you look at multiple agencies responding. So I have the deepest thanks to the men and women who are serving South Salt Lake's fire department, and then of course the men and women who work in corrections, and for the sheriff for the excellent response. As the sheriff pointed out, it's always important that we debrief and see, first and foremost, stabilizing the situation, making sure that the jail will be restored and we can get the HVAC system repair up and running again. Those are important things to do. But we also need to take these moments to reflect on what we can do better. That, as she mentioned, that's going to happen in the days to come. But initial indications are that this was managed incredibly quickly, with no major injuries and very, very little impact to the operations. So again, thanks to all.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions if any of you have any. And
yeah,
yes.
Can you give a preliminary estimate on the damage, the cost estimate on the damage?
It's really tough to tell because they're already starting to repair, but we don't know yet. It's probably going to be minimal compared to what we thought it would be, because it's contained to that one area. Now, there is some areas there's some water damage. Anytime you have a fire and you use water to put it out, there's a little bit of damage there as well. But as soon as we have a good estimate, we will release that information.
Can you be a little more specific, too, on the impact to the inmates specifically?
Well, there's always going to be an impact when you're incarcerated and you have trust in others to keep you safe. There's, that mental impact. But they're all doing very well. It was the operation of moving them went very well. And really, our employees are incredible. Everybody kicked in and did what they needed to do to ensure that those prisoners are safe and they feel safe, and we didn't have any hiccups in that area. So very proud of our staff that works at the jail, and like I said, it takes practice to get it right. And really, we have a good relationship with those who we house, so they understand that we do care. We are very compassionate there, where we understand the fears that they would go through, and we make sure that we're checking on them as well as our own employees. A critical incident like this impacts the employees as well.
The damage to the HVAC system, is that going to impact how that works in there? Is there a timeline?
Only to the one unit, but that unit's not, it'll be closed until it's up and running again. And fortunately, we had another unit to move those prisoners to, so nobody will be impacted by that unit being closed. And it'll give us the opportunity to get it up and running again, and we won't put anybody in there until it's safe.
Will that impact your ability to take in
We don't believe it will.
And the inmates, they're able to stay in this jail, they won't have to be temporarily housed elsewhere?
They will not. They'll be in the ADC, the Adult Detention Center. So.
Is the unit that was affected today, male inmates, female?
I don't know that answer right now. So.
How about the number, we heard reports of about 200 inmates impacted?
Yes. And that's an approximate 200. Anything else?
With that fire, were there any suppression systems or anything that went off in the buildings, anything like that?
There were no suppression systems inside the building. The fire was contained to the roof, and so the only damage was the smoke coming through the ventilation systems and the water seeping through those same ventilation systems. So no fire protection system inside was activated, and so that's still up and operational, protecting everyone inside.
Those inmates who may want to just inform their loved ones that they're okay, are they able to do maybe some sort of special communication or just normal communication?
It's just normal communication. Like I said, the operations haven't been impacted in that way, other than the booking process was impacted for about 2 hours, but they still have the same access that they had, prior to the fire.
What happened when the incident like that happens? The jail goes in a lockdown mode or anything like that? Can you explain what happened with the rest of the institution?
Yes, anytime we have a critical incident, the jail will go into lockdown, and then once everything is safe and we have enough staffing to operate the jail, and we make sure that we don't have any issues, then the the jail won't be under lockdown anymore. So
And that did take place today for a certain
that
time?
did, yes, it was locked down, and we go into lockdown, quite frequently. It could be for staffing or other issues. So it's a frequent thing that we do, is lock down the jail just to ensure everybody's safe.
Do you know the time frame for how long that happened?
I don't, but I would imagine around the same amount of time, and then we will continue to stay locked down until we get things stabilized. That's usually how it happens. So. Anything else? Okay, last chance. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Right, of course. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you.